Okay. Hey you guys, so it is your girl Jazz once again. When you talk about like facing the giants in your lives, we all have a situation in our life or a situation in our lives that every time we go to face it, a type of fear will rise up against us. Now, not everybody will share the same giant that you have in your life, and what I've learned is that, sometimes the giants that I have in my life, other people don't they don't understand because it's easy for them in their lives because that's not a giant that they have to face. Now, situations like when it comes to um, certain things in my life, I may be like, what do you mean? Why do you have a struggle with that with someone else? But I mean, they might have a different giant than I have that they're like, well, why are you so afraid of that kind of thing? There shouldn't be issue of why you're afraid of that. That may be nothing to them compared to me. It may be something very huge to me. Now, this is because in our lives we all go through something, but it's like a similar situation that occurs over and over and over again, and we keep seeing a failure in the situation. And because we see a failure in the situation, it really brings like a nerve-wracking, aggravating kind of feeling to us, like, okay, well, it happened before, so this and this is going to happen again. Or like, for instance, me, when it comes to dealing with people and building relationships with people, I've, if you guys have seen my testimony video, you guys know, like, me in building relationship with any type of people, whether family, friends, people, random people. I mean, I meet new people now who I can build relationships with. But, sometimes it's really hard. I remember I got to a point in my life where I actually told God, yeah, I want to serve you, but I just don't want to put any of my emotions into helping people. I just want to help people and then go away. But I don't want to get so caught up that I have all these feelings on helping people that my emotions get so caught up in, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to get my emotions so tied in, because when you have feelings towards people, you end up getting hurt when you make yourself vulnerable. And so for me, that was something very difficult. That's a giant that I have to face in my life. So I don't know what it is that is your giant, but whatever it is, we are going to conquer it together, because I'm going through it, and so we can do it together, and we can influence each other to face our giants in life. Now, I only say this because I actually had a conversation with my little sister, and she's about 6 years old, and she was playing basketball, and she wouldn't make it in, and she couldn't make it in, and she kept saying, Jasmine, I never make it in. I'm just, I'm gonna give up. I never, and we get into the habit of I nevers. Well, I never seen it happen like that before, or I've never conquered this, and it's never going to change, so why should I? I can't, but. And we get to a point where we're just making excuses after excuses. But luckily, like any big sister should say, and I'm going to say the same thing to you guys, because it really helped me, because it was so funny. I was in the car explaining this to her. I said, well, if you don't try, and if you don't continue to trying, how will you ever know what it feels like to actually make a basket, to make it in the hoop, And once you make it in the hoop, it's going to feel so good. And then once it feels so good to make that victory and to make it into the hoop, as you continue to do it more and more and more, you get better at what, the more you do it, the more you feel better, and the more, easier it is for you, but at first it's going to be hard, but you have to continue on trying. And it's so funny because, when I was going to try to go face my battles and my giants in my life, I actually had to stop and be like, wow. I sat down with my little sister, and there was a situation where, I'm facing my giant, in my life right now. And I had to, really sit there and be like, wow, I can't tell my little sister, you can't keep on, you can't just give up, and then me just give up, because this was something, huge to her. And for me, this giant was huge to me, but I couldn't just be like, well, yeah, Zion, keep trying, and then I just not try myself, And so it really encouraged me, because I actually learned from just giving her advice. I gave myself advice later on in the day because I actually didn't want to try. I wanted to give up. And it's a good lesson. So when you look at the Bible in Matthew 17:20, it says, "So Jesus said to them, because of your unbelief, for surely I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you." So if you have faith, our faith can move mountains. If you just believe that you can do it. Yeah, at first it's gonna be hard. But if you keep persevering, if you keep striving forward, even if things get dark and cloudy, God's going to be there. I always say, the thing that's so good about saying I'm going through, right, is the fact that you're going through it. You're not staying there. You're not stuck there. You're going through it. And the thing about going through is you're not going through alone. You're doing with God. And so I have an example of the type of people when it comes to facing your giants in your life. And it comes from my group home experience when I was 17 years old. Now, I was in this program called Girls Independent Living, and what you do is you save up $2,500 and then you get an apartment. Now, all these girls in this program were, out of control teenagers who, couldn't function normally in society's norms. And so, we were placed there. And now, when you look at the different females in the programs, when it comes to facing our giants, we can be like those females in the program. Some in the program aged out. Some girls ran away. Some went back to juvenile lockup. Some girls didn't follow the expectations of the programs, and some just passed the program. I happen to be, one of the girls who actually graduated from the program, and I ended up getting my own apartment. But when it comes to facing my giant, honestly, when I, did this test for myself and try to figure out which one was I actually turned out to be a different one because, I get so afraid in facing my giant. So I want to change from being that which I am, which I'll, explain to you guys after I read them. But I want you guys to figure out which one you guys are. All right, so I'm going to put them up and I'm going to explain them and just choose which one you are, okay? All right. All right, you guys. So figure out which one you guys are when it comes to the girls from the group home. Well, of course, you're not a girl from the group home, but you can be in one of the categories. Now, for me, I'm gonna reveal to you guys which one I am. I am the runaway. Now, I'm gonna explain why I would say that I'm the runaway. Seeing that I used to be a runaway teenager, I just feel that it's easier for me to just run. Even though I know that no matter how far you run, you're taking the issue with you. So that's the hardest thing about being a runaway is it still goes with you. Like I had said in my testimony video, I remember looking out the window and saying, "Why isn't it getting better?" Well, I was on the run at that point, and I kept asking God why. Why? God save me, help me. And obviously, even when I ran away and tried to run away from my problems, it still came along with me. Now, we all know I'm actually facing my giant right now, but when you look at life and people's giants, my giant, I'm gonna explain to you guys, would be love. My whole life, from my experiences, I have been petrified of love. And, when I was on the run and when I was younger, I was so afraid of love. And then when I found out that God was love, I got to a point where it was so easy to just love God rather than to try to love people, because even though it's God, God can make himself so easy to love, and he's just so loving and caring. But see, the thing about it is, now that I love God, and I can love people, just wanting to have someone to love me back, or it was really hard for me. Now I got to a point where God told me to take up my cross and follow him, and so I did. And where God brought me was straight to battle my giant. And to battle my giant, um it's just like, when you look at, there is a story in the Bible, um and it talks about how Moses, God sent Moses to the wilderness, but there was another route that they could have went, but the other route went to war, you know and I am, you know, and I think, but they weren't ready for that. They weren't ready. And I feel like God didn't bring me to the wilderness. He brought me straight to war, and which is my battle. Basically facing my giant, because, where I am right now is like the giant is right in front of me. And, I mean, it's so easy for me to love God. And I got to a point where I was just like, I'm going to love God and just, preach the gospel, but I'm not going to get too close to people because I don't want to get hurt, or I don't want to hurt anybody in the process. Be growing up, being an out of control teenager, I've hurt so many people in the last 18 years of my life, and just seeing the destruction in hurting people and not wanting to hurt people. I would never want to purposely make someone feel less than what they are, or hurt them, or be very destructive. And then I also know what it feels like to just live in like constant hurt and pain from people hurting you. If everybody, like, I have cut marks and scars on my arm because I used to cut and be a cutter when I was younger, because I just felt like when people hurt me, I felt like it was my fault that I had to hurt myself. And so I didn't ever want to get to a point where, so when God told me to take up my cross and follow him, I was like, okay, God, I am going to follow you. And I I landed right in front of my giant. And it's been, the easiest thing for me to do is to run away from it. And I can't even like say that it hasn't even crossed my mind facing my giant, because every day, God has taken me from Cali to Memphis to Florida, and, I'm going to be going to go visit my brothers and sisters in a few weeks. But, in the process of me waiting, I can't even say that every day I don't wake up just wanting to pack my bag and, just get a ticket to anywhere. But, you know, from my past experience, it's I can't do that, you know. But I know that this is my battle to fight. It's just like, at what point in your life, you, like I said, you have the aged out, the person who will go their whole life without fighting their battle. They'd rather die before they fight this battle. At what point do I not face this giant in my life? I told my sister, like I said to you guys before, it you keep trying, and as you try, it gets easier. It gets easier. But as it just seems sometimes like a weight just sitting on your chest, like you're just waiting for it to fail, like, because you've seen this before, and you're like, God, I know that I'm gonna win this battle. You already said I was going to win this battle, but because I've seen something similar to it before in my life, it seems so hard, you know? Because I didn't conquer it before because, it just, I've seen what it's done to me. It has laid me flat out on my face. It has broken me down and has destroyed me, has destructed me, has criticized me, made me feel no good about myself. Everything, like, it doesn't feel good. God's just like, no, this is the battle that you have to fight. At what point I could rebel and act out of control and try to distract myself from the issue, but then at the end of the day, it's kind of like an alcoholic. I'm gonna drink away my pain, but at the end of the day, when the liquor is gone and it's out of your system, your situation is still there. It's still there. Like, when do you face the situation? Go ahead, get high every day. Go ahead, get high every day. Your situation's still there. It's not getting any better until you face it. Rebel, you know? But you have to face it. When are you going to face the situation? I used to be a drug addict. My biggest fear, I don't want to move forward. Life never did me great. Everything is horrible out there. How can I move forward in my life because everything in life has knocked me down, made me feel like dirt? But I had to face that giant at that point in my life. So I did. Now I'm clean. 3 years later. Now I have to face another giant. But it's just like we get to the point. I mean, we can be like the bound down. I remember when I used to just sit there. I mean, I had my bear. My teddy bear, I used to hold my teddy bear just, for comfort because I was so afraid of people leaving me. And God told me, Jazz, throw away your bear. Because if you don't throw away your bear, then you are hiding behind everything. And it's like my bear was my fear. Like, I was afraid to be abandoned. Afraid. Everybody left. Everybody left. So I have my bear at the end of the day. I could hug it. I could pray with it. My bear was always going to be there. So I hid behind my bear. But at what point, my bear had been through every single situation. If that thing, everybody says if walls could talk. If walls could talk, what would they say? If my bear could talk, what could it say? Jazz, I've seen, my bear's probably seen me getting hit by a man. My bear's probably has seen me in group homes and programs and getting arrested. And when I was high and when I was cutting myself, and it had, it's like carrying all that weight. It's carrying all that weight, and we keep ourselves. Are you bound down? What are you bound down by? It's just like we rather be bound down. Oh, it's okay. I'm just carrying all this luggage. Okay, no, it's okay. I don't want to face my giant. I just want to keep on, and keep on, and then you're all hunched over and you're bound down, Or you're gonna graduate and face your giant, I told you guys, I admitted to you guys, I'm gonna keep it real, So often, a lot of people say, well, there's not a lot of people out there who are just, keeping it real with us. What I'm a runaway. I run away from my giants all the time. I'm telling you, the one place that, I was like, Lord, I don't ever want to be in that place. Bang, right in my face. It's right here. Where can I run from it? I'm not going to be a Jonah. Then what? Where do you go from there? Because Jonah still had to face whatever it is that was the task that God laid before him. So it's either you can face it now or you can face it later. So I just encourage you guys to figure out what you guys' giants are. Figure out who you are. Are you bound down? Are you the graduate? Are you the rebel? Are you the aged out? Are you the runaway? We're going to face our giants together, but I can encourage you guys to stay encouraged and to keep facing your giants, and I'm gonna have a lesson coming up about facing your giants, actually probably 3 lessons, because 1 Samuel 17 is actually long, and it talks about David and Goliath, but also I'm gonna talk about the giants in the land with Joshua, and I'm also gonna when they went to go spy out the land, and a few other things. So I can encourage you guys to keep watching my videos, and I love you guys, and I know that if I'm facing my giants, that there's a lot of you guys out there who are facing your giants as well. So I love you guys so much, and God bless you. Peace.